Hey guys, today I'm going to be going over my best and worst sports card investments from 2021. Shout out to sports card investor Jeff Wilson for the idea. Really enjoyed his video, but I'm going to do a few minor tweaks when I'm showing you guys mine. There's a big saying in the investment world, you don't lose money until you sell, but also on the other side of the coin, you don't make money until you sell either. So the 3 and 3 I share today are only going to be cards that have been bought and sold out the door, the deal is over, and my winners and losers basically. So at number 1, in no particular order mind you, for my worst sports card investments of the year is my Ansu Fati Obsidian PSA 10 rookie, which I bought for $1,340 and I sold total take home, not including fees, those are already taken out, for $700. Now this one is just a pretty straightforward mistake. I got too caught up in prospecting. I had a lot of success with young soccer prospects, so I was like, okay, I love Ansu Fati, he's very talented, he's at Barcelona, let me just get one of his nicest cards. Let me get a numbered PSA 10, I believe in him, he's gonna be the next big thing, it's gonna be just like Haaland, it's gonna be just like Mbappe, and then the injury happened. And everyone gets injured, it's not the end of the world. I probably just would have held on to it. I probably would still be holding on to it if it wasn't kind of a complicated situation. He was injured, there was no real timetable, and he was out, I think, over a year now. I know he's played some games this year, but he's out again. I follow Barcelona very closely, and I'm not saying, give up on Ansu Fati or I know what's gonna happen to him, but it was just, there was a ton of different conflicting reports, and his injury just really worried me. And I was like, you know what? I think maybe, I believe in him, but I can buy back later at another time. Because it was surprising, the market hadn't really reacted even after he got injured. I would still see card show vlogs and videos and people were like, oh, buy Ansu Fati guys, he's the next big thing. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy might not play for a year now. So I was like, there was still some heat and so I listed it up and I sold it, and to my surprise, I think that was actually the all-time low sale of that card. There's definitely been some other sales that have been higher in the past couple months, even with the sports card market kind of coming down a little bit. But it's hard to know these things. That's the dangers of prospecting. Injuries as well, especially with the young guys, they don't have defined legacies. One injury can really derail their career and as a consequence, their sports card prices. But we still don't know what's gonna happen to Fati, but on this card, regardless, it's locked in. I definitely took a little bit of an L there. But for number 1 on my best sports card investments, we actually have the other side of the coin, something I always talk about. I think we've been plenty warned about the dangers of prospecting on YouTube, but there's also, it's the risk reward. There's also a lot of success to be had. And my number 1 investment was getting a Phil Foden Optic Holo SGC 10 for $210. And I sold it for $1,850 out the door. So that is a pretty insane profit. 6 times $1,600 on a $200 investment. I was really happy about that. And I have to say, I've been big on Foden for a while, but it's kind of luck. You never know. I was big on Fati too, and that hasn't really come good. But with Phil Foden, he's played so well. And I think also with that particular card, it's kind of a weird one. It was SGC, which at the time, I bought this card in January. SGC was not a thing at all. Optic Holo, I felt like people didn't really appreciate how tough of a card it was to grade number 1, but also how much rarer it was than just regular Optic. Like that spread wasn't really there. They were going for almost similar prices at the time. And it was just kind of the perfect storm. SGC started getting more recognition. Phil Foden started playing very well. And I think people started realizing, optic holos were more important, were definitely more rare than just a base optic. And although I believe in Phil Foden, it was just time. When you make that kind of profit, I was like, okay, how much more upside is there really? Will this ever be a $3,000 card? I very, very much doubt that. So to get, I think it was maybe almost I think it was like $1,950, $2,000, and then we took the fees out to get me to $1,850. I was like, okay, I think it's time to sell. Time has kind of shown me that was the right decision. I could probably get a PSA 10 Optic Holo for at least that price, if not less at this point. So definitely my takeaway just confirmed to me, you got to take your profit at times when you're happy with where you're at. Now, number 2 on my worst sports card investments list is Luka Doncic Prism Silver PSA 10, which I bought for $8,000. Now this one was kind of a tough purchase. I tend to really like to think through my sports card investments, but you know, I was in the Philippines having a little fun. I wanted to film a video. I had bought one card from a guy and he's like, oh, I also have this Luka Doncic Prism Silver. Are you interested in this? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me buy it. I like Luka. Let's just do it, without really thinking about, man, $8,000 is a lot of money for a Luka Doncic card. And pretty much directly after I bought it, it just started trending downwards. And the more it went down, I was like, man, this was a bad buy. I should get out of this when I can. It never should have been that price. I was like, you know what? Towards the start of the NBA season, I think that's when the hype will be the highest. I should kind of try to move it. And if you guys checked out one of my other videos, I actually traded it for an Erling Haaland Gold Topps Finest Refractor, which is like a grail card for me. It kind of worked out for both of us because at the same time, it is a very liquid card. I was like, okay, I can get into this Erling Haaland without spending too much cash. And since then, the card has gone down even more. I think it's at almost like 3,500 right now, while I think that Erling Haaland still has a ton of upside. So I think I made the right decision trading out of it. In terms of buying it, I just learned my lesson to don't just buy something just cause. I always say you have to have a plan. The price has to make sense for you. Some people, I guess, are more like wheelers and dealers at card shows and they can just see things right away and buy it. For me, I have to really think through what I'm buying, and I didn't do that with this Luka Doncic card, and I paid the price for it. Number 2 on my best buys was an Anthony Davis Select RPA Silk. And you might be thinking, Anthony Davis, you mean street clothes?
I call him Anthony Street Clothes Davis because he's always in street clothes.
The guy who hasn't been playing, whose stock has gone way down. Yeah, I actually made money on him, and I sold him, I think, a couple weeks into the NBA season. And really all this was the importance of cross-checking comps. Now, what do I mean by that? It might be a little hard to show you because I'm sure, you know, this was a while ago, so I think these comps are probably off eBay. But for instance, with this card, it's a Select RPA Silver BGS 9.5. And when I bought it, the last comp was pretty much correct. It sold for $1,300 on auction. So, you know, 10% off comps, the guy was looking to get $1,200 on it. And just right off the bat, that price seemed kind of low to me. You know, a Select, a Silver, an RPA, and a BGS 9.5. That's a really tough grade with a 10 auto. I was like, hey, that seems kind of cheap. So I checked it out, and a card like that had sold for $1,300, but at the same time, a Select Silver auto, BGS 9, no jersey, sold for $1,900. And then a BGS 9.5 of the non-silver version had also sold for $1,600 recently. So if you looked at just the direct comp, you weren't getting that much of a deal. If anything, you were kind of overpaying with the comps. But then if you looked at what other similar cards of his went for, you were getting a super deal. So I went for it. I actually traded for it. I think I sent like $100 cash, got that card at $1,200 value, and the buyer ended up agreeing with me. I didn't even give him like a hard sell or anything. I'm just sure I set the price. I valued it at $2,000. I think compared to the base, the non-silver going for $1,600, I felt $2,000 was fair. The buyer said, yeah, I'll go for it. And I sold that card and I made a pretty good profit, even though Anthony Davis has not done anything spectacular. If anything, he's underperformed lately. At number 3, my last worst buy was the Zion Optic Holo BGS 9.5. I got this in the Philippines as well. It was kind of similar to the Luka, where I was just like, yeah, I'll take that one in. I like Zion. Not really thinking about it. The good news is I sold it at a pretty strong price. I got $650 when I had bought it for $1,000. And if you've seen the pictures of Zion recently, you know, he's just looking real big. I don't really know what to think about it, but I definitely made the right decision when you look at what his cards are going for now. So I guess the only takeaway for this would be sort of similar to the Luka. And I probably have to be better at this. Just if you think it's going to go down even more, even though you're going to take a loss and it kind of hurts, especially with sports cards, we got so conditioned during the pandemic, like taking a loss on a card, that's crazy. Just take it, hold your L, move on, get the next thing, and just keep it moving. And my last best investment of the year was an Andres Iniesta Mundachromo PSA 9, which I bought for $275. Well, I actually bought it for $100, and then I got it graded for $175 on express service. and I sold it for $1,380 out the door. Now I would say this is a mix of a pretty good amount of luck, but also just kind of playing the odds. I'm in a lot of Facebook soccer groups, definitely recommend you check them out if you're looking to pick stuff up, especially from overseas. And I saw what these Iniesta Multichromos were going for. It was around $100. But even in a PSA 8, they were selling for, at the time, I want to say like $750. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. You could buy 4 of them, get them all graded. If you get one PSA 8, it'll basically pay for the whole thing. So I was like, okay, let me just buy, and exactly what I did. I bought like 5 of them, and I went and got them graded. I was like, okay, one of them will at least get an 8. Now, to get a 9 without doing any kind of thorough inspection, especially with how tough Multichromos are to grade, was crazy. That was very, very lucky, but at the same time, I was happy about it. And I believe a lot in Iniesta long term, but I knew that this particular card wasn't like obscenely rare. Like you could kind of go out and buy it, and not too many had been graded. So I was like, all right, this PSA 9, I think the offer was like $1,600 on eBay. I was like, let me just take this. At the very least, I can take this and then buy some more and keep it going. Unfortunately, the PSA closure had other plans, but I still think it was the right decision to sell this card, especially with the profit I made. But all right, guys, that's it for the video. Feel free to share your wins and losses of the year down below. Appreciate the support you guys have given me this year. Excited to make more videos, share, and enjoy the hobby with you guys in 2022. Peace.